Hello, everyone. I'm Graham Ledger, and welcome to the Daily Ledger. Our cover story, the grip of Islamic terror. Its painful grasp is being felt from the Middle East to America to Japan. And the Islamic State is slinging its sword of death. A Japanese hostage is the latest victim. The Islamic State wanted a ransom for him, along with a pilot from Jordan. However, the military aviator is being swapped for a terrorist who helped murder 60 people back in 2005. But the clock has apparently run out for Japanese hostage Kenji Goto.
Prime Minister, please save Kenji's life. Please do not give up on negotiation with the Jordanian government till the end. I'm so sorry to have caused such trouble. Time left is so short, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, I beg you to please give us your hand to protect us.
We will never give up until our Japanese hostage, Mr. Goto, safely coming back to our nation. And we pray for him.
It's painful. It's outrageous. But also causing outrage is the President of the United States and his claim last week that the Islamic State is, quote, being stopped. Oh, really? Do these barbarians look like they're being stopped? A beheading right in the middle of the street of a Syrian city. And they're being stopped, Mr. President? This is their caliphate, their holy war. In order to win a holy war, you must fight it as a holy war. But here's Obama living in fantasy land. This president is treating our enemies better than our allies. Witness Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Joining me now, Democrat public policy expert and Daily Ledger contributor David Genzer. David, so we have what we are seeing from the Islamic State happening in the Middle East. That's just one area. North Africa is in turmoil, parts of it. The Muslim Brotherhood is spreading. Of course, we see what's going on with Iran and the Islamists there. Of course, we also have Africa and Boko Haram and the Islamic terrorists there as well. Yet the White House seems to be more focused on revenge against Benjamin Netanyahu and John Boehner for him coming to Congress, addressing a joint session, than focused on these terrorists.
The good news, the bad news is there's all these terrorist groups and radical groups all over the Middle East. The good news is they have never been, they are not, and they never will be united. There is no caliphate. Iran and ISIS, remember, are blood enemies. They are at war, at killing each other by the hundreds. Iran is helping us in Iraq to fight ISIS. And Hezbollah is on the side of the Syrian government, which is fighting against ISIS in Syria. So, you know, I remember a time when conservatives used to have a sophisticated understanding of foreign policy. I remember Bob Dole, George Bush Sr., Richard Lugar, those types. They understood that the way you do this sort of thing is to peel our enemies off from each other, not unite them. And with regard to the Netanyahu speech, what really concerns me about that is that Netanyahu wants the United States to attack and go to war with Iran. Not just once, not just surgically, but repeatedly. The only way to get Iran to literally surrender its nuclear program to all of our demands, no president can do that unless they attack, invade, occupy, and permanently garrison the state. Obama is doing the next best thing. Because he continues to negotiate with him, our allies have imposed brutal sanctions on Iraq, not just its nuclear sector, but its energy sector. Europeans don't buy Iranian oil anymore. There's an arms embargo. It is the negotiations with Iran that have allowed this chance to possibly reach an agreement to back them away from the nuclear cliff.
You sound like you could work for the Neville Chamberlain administration back in the 30s in Great Britain. We need to negotiate with Hitler, because if we negotiate with Hitler, we will have peace.
Right.
And
so
of course, we know how history turned out there.
Right. So
also,
do conservatives want to go to war or not?
Can I
do
finish?
Conservatives want to go to war?
You dished a lot out there, so let me continue on here, and then you can respond.
Please.
I'll give you time, I promise. The caliphate. You say there's different factions, and you're correct. But they're all unified under one umbrella, and that's radical Islam. And they're also unified under another umbrella, the mothership of them all, and that's the Muslim Brotherhood, which Barack Obama seems to support. Now, in Iran, we do have them state-sponsored terrorists, right? They're sponsoring terrorists around the globe. They were behind the coup in Yemen with the Shia, but they have sworn a blood oath to destroy Israel, to wipe the only democracy in the Middle East off the map. So why are we coddling Iran?
Okay, how would you not coddle Iran? Do conservatives want to attack Iran, invade and conquer it, or not?
I believe you choke them off. You choke them into submission.
We are choking them off. The only thing we're not, I mean, there's not a total blockade, but outside of that, these are the harshest sanctions ever imposed on Iraq.
I believe you try and choke them off, and you try and arm the Iranian people, most of whom don't support what's going on there. For example, executing gays, throwing them off the roof. It's an atrocity. And I believe if you tighten the sanctions, you apply more pressure on the outside, and then maybe from within arm the Iranian people who hate these people, want to get rid of them, I think the two can mesh, and indeed you can have another revolution, only a good revolution this time there.
They don't want our arms. During the Green Revolution in 2011, the Iranian protest groups asked the United States to back off and not publicly support them, so then the regime wouldn't be able to say that, see, they're just puppets of the Americans. Regime change sounds easy until you try to do it.
If you look at Barack Obama's legacy, and I'm really curious of what you think in a foreign policy sense, as it pertains to this region of the world, that would be the Middle East and North Africa. If you connected the dots as I do, and you look at what happened in North Africa, that Barack Obama supported the wrong people, got rid of Muammar Gaddafi, got rid of Hosni Mubarak, and look at what happened in those countries, then you continue on in the Middle East, did not make a major move in Syria. We know what happened there. The Islamic State has taken over the northeastern portion. It took over then the northwestern portion of Iraq, again, because of Barack Obama pulling the troops out. You look at what happened in the way he's treating Israel, and then what he wants to do with Iran. There are many people, including myself, who add all that up and say, hey, Barack Obama supports radical Islam. There's no other way to couch this unless he's completely incompetent. So which is it?
I'm going to pick item C, which is the President of the United States is not a traitor and he doesn't not know how to defend America. This kind of rhetoric is fun, but it's not helpful.
But so what is he? What is the game plan in the Middle East and North Africa?
The game plan...
Because I don't see it.
The game plan is to do what we can within our limited influence. We do not... No American president can summon the future in the Middle East automatically with a wave of his or her hand. We tried to do that in the last 15 years, and look what happened. So he's doing what he's supposed to do, which is he's fighting the actual terrorist, and he's trying to encourage political solutions in these countries. So the Arab world has a long, long transition ahead of it.
So you think we're better off today than we were 6 years ago?
6 years ago? Yeah. Yeah, because the Arab Spring has begun. It's been choked off, but it's inevitable. Young people in the Arab world don't want authoritarian regimes, and most of them are not radicalized. Remember, all of these radical moves, they all have one thing in common. They're occurring in weak or failed states. See, Israel's problem for most of its history was it was surrounded by strong states. It was trying to destroy it. Now it kind of has the opposite problem. It has failed states.
Well, I think that we ought to realize that we're fighting the Crusades Part 2. Israel needs to play a key role, and we need to approach the Holy War like it is a holy war. David?
Well, I doubt that. The last thing I'll say is that I think it ill serves Israel to turn support of everything Israel does into an American partisan wedge issue.
Okay, that's a political answer. I say, hey, we need to defend Israel at all costs. David Rautheim, thanks. Coming up next, the Republican game plan for blocking presidential amnesty, plus the Oval Office farce of so-called middle-class economics.
President Obama and his middle-class economics have failed miserably.